I'm Jason UFC, and today we have a story about UFC heavyweight champion John Jones quashes his beef with Israel Adesanya, names names the only other opponent after Stipe Miocic that will prevent John Jones from retiring. UFC heavyweight champion John Jones recently shed some light on two potential dream opponents in the UFC. During a recent interview with Fox Sports Australia, John Bone Jones was asked if he regretted not pursuing a showdown with UFC middleweight champion Israel Adesanya. The pair have frequently traded shots over the years, but a showdown never came to fruition. John Bones Jones opined that he and Israel Adesanya, while both immensely successful, do not warrant comparison. Therefore, John has no interest in a fight with him. However, the heavyweight champion did take a moment to acknowledge Israel Adesanya's star in what came across as an olive branch. Okay, I feel like my legacy and my career are past his. I mean, that's just a fact. If this was like an Instagram follow competition, then yeah, we'd be neck and neck. But when it comes to our body of work, there's no competition and there's no reason for me to compare myself to him. He's done great things, and people say there's lots of room in the sky for many stars, and he is undoubtedly a star. But I feel like our careers are not really comparable. Not a fight that I need. No. Okay, that's fine. Reporters seem to just try to pick fights. Sometimes it's just like, this is not a question that John Jones has ever really just came out and just, you know what I'm saying? It's not like John Jones is just out there throwing shots at Israel Adesanya. A reporter asked him, like, so sometimes it's just a bit much. John Jones reveals the one opponent he'd postponed retirement for. During the same interview, John Jones was asked if there are any potential fights out there past the Miocic fight that would convince him to stick around. Okay. John Jones confirmed that a Francis Ngannou matchup would be enough for him to put his retirement plans on hold. Yeah, I do believe a Francis Ngannou fight would be worth entertaining. Not retiring. Yeah, I think if a Francis Ngannou fight would come with some serious revenue, and I think that would make it worth my while, John Jones explained. Francis is a former champion, and he's pretty damn popular here in America and across the world. He's very well known, and it would bring in a lot of money. For that, I would be willing to come back. Okay, as exciting the dream matchup would be, the likelihood of the predator Francis Ngannou stepping back into the octagon appears to be very slim for now. Okay, I mean, yeah, like, my whole thing with the whole John Jones and Israel Adesanya quote unquote beef is that I really felt like John Jones, I don't think he's ever like really taken the first shot at Israel Adesanya. There's a lot in the media. The press try to bring things up. Israel has always been the one taking more shots at John Jones, saying he wants to fight John Jones. It's never really been like John Jones saying, looking at Israel and quote unquote hating on his style and saying, okay, this guy's not really anything. I could beat him, and just trying to downplay Israel Adesanya. John Jones is a light heavyweight champion. He's not worrying about the middleweight champ. When he was the light heavyweight champion, he's not worrying about the middleweight champion. It was more about Israel Adesanya, saying that he was going to go up to beat John Jones, not John Jones saying, hey, Israel, if you're really that good, come up here and fight me. It was really never from John Jones' side as far as picking a fight with Israel Adesanya. And now for Francis Ngannou, who knows what's going on with Francis Ngannou? I feel like Francis Ngannou probably is just going into the boxing world, right? It seems like it. They just something with one championship. They said they're out of the running. UFC says they're out of the running. That basically leaves bare knuckle fighting championship. It leaves Bellator and it leaves PFL. I feel like from that list, it seems like PFL would probably be at the top of the list, but who knows what's going on with Francis Ngannou. But the likelihood of Francis Ngannou and John Jones fighting in the UFC, it seems pretty low. I don't know for sure. I'm an MMA casual, so I don't follow everything that happens every single day in the sport. But it just seems like those bridges have been burned. If they were gonna make the fight, they could have just made the fight before John Jones fought Ciryl Gane. The fact that Francis Ngannou had the belt taken away from him and he left the UFC, I don't really see him coming back to fight John Jones. Because then even let's say he does come back, and then the UFC is going to be dealing with the headache of dealing with Francis Ngannou after the fight of John Jones. Is this going to be a one-off fight with Francis Ngannou, or is this with John Jones saying that he wants to retire? Does the UFC say, hey, you know what? Let's bring back Francis Ngannou to fight John Jones. Let's say Francis Ngannou knocks out John Jones cold. He's the champion once again, and then we have to deal with this whole story again. So I don't really see the possibility of John Jones and Francis Ngannou ever getting into a fight, because I also don't see John Jones going down the route of the quote-unquote celebrity boxing after his UFC career. It would be interesting to see what John Jones does after his UFC career, because he's talking about retiring after the fight versus Stipe Miocic. The latest rumors with that fight is that John Jones versus Stipe Miocic will most likely be headlining the UFC card in November in New York City. But let me know your opinion of this story. Who do you think is going to win? Like, who cares if John Jones and Israel Adesanya aren't beefing anymore? John Jones reached out an olive branch to Daniel Cormier. Daniel Cormier basically said no. I'm pretty sure Israel Adesanya is basically going to kind of say the same thing. But who do you think is going to win the fight? Like, who do you think is going to win the fight between John Jones and Stipe Miocic in November in New York City? I am Team John Jones. I'm Jason, UFC. Today we had a story about UFC heavyweight champion John Jones offers a olive branch, right, to Israel Adesanya in many ways, basically saying he doesn't want to fight him. His career has passed Israel Adesanya, so he has no beef with Israel Adesanya, and names Francis Ngannou as the only opponent after his Stipe Miocic fight that will stop John Jones from retirement. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the $1 donation button, and please tune in to the next video on this channel. Thanks a million for watching.